were you at Edge? What year did you graduate? How long were you here for?
Yeah, so I started in grade 8 in 2011 and I graduated in 2016.
Nice.
So 5 years, which was good. I was actually homeschooled before that.
Really?
So Edge was my first real school, and so my first day of school ever was like first day of grade 8, and that was also my 13th birthday, like that first day, and so it was just like crazy day all around.
Oh
But
my
yeah.
goodness. I can't imagine, like, all of a sudden going from homeschool to coming here. What was that like as an adjustment for you?
It was okay. Well, on the one hand, like it was nice because the classes are smaller, right? And I'd done some, like I did a lot of extracurriculars and stuff. Like I didn't live under a rock and not know how to talk to people, which was good. And yes, the small class size was really nice because I'd done a few in-person classes, just like occasionally, where it would be like once a week you'd go in to learn about a subject or whatever. So I kind of knew about the classroom environment, but the transition to like a competitive environment was like sport and like personal excellence, like that kind of environment was an interesting transition, because my sport was dance, and I'd always danced just recreationally, like I'd never actually like done competitive dance or anything. So I kind of came in as like an underdog in a lot of those circumstances, and it was good. Like it pushed me to work really hard. But I remember like there was a lot of just general school things that I wasn't like familiar with. Like the first day we had to get locks for our locker, and I'd never used one before. And so my math teacher told us to bring it back to him if it didn't work. And I'd gone through like 3 locks at that point. He was like, "Sarah, do you know how to use this?" I was like, "Okay, no, please help." Yeah, so it was an interesting transition. I also think grade 8 is like one of a tough year as a youth, being like a 13.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if that was like the best time to like transition out of homeschooling or not, but I don't know. It went pretty well. Like I think overall, I really liked the balance of being able to do like sport and school. That was really nice because I was trying to get into more of like high level training, I guess, from the recreational dance studio I was at before. And so I was originally looking at Alberta Ballet.
Okay.
And but there, like I have a lot of different extracurriculars as well. Like I did piano, and like I played squash and like a whole bunch of other stuff, and so I wanted to be able to do lots of things. In Alberta Ballet, it's like if you miss like a couple rehearsals, you basically get cut. Like it's very committed, so I like wanted something a bit more flexible. So this was like during the day, so it was great.
Of course.
Yeah.
So what initially was it? I don't know if you remember, or was it a conversation you had with your parents, but why did you initially come to Edge? Like, was it the dance side of things you wanted to get into that competitive area, or what kind of made it stand out to your family?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because so I found out about Edge through Alberta Ballet because a lot of dancers from Alberta Ballet end up here. And I found out about it the day before the audition for the dance program. And I hadn't heard of Edge before. And I was like, sure. And I didn't really realize it was like a school. Like I kind of knew it was a school because I'd seen my friends compete here and stuff. And because they hold dance competitions like in the gym normally. Anyway, so I went for the dance audition like the next day, and I realized I'm like, oh, if I get in, I'm going to like this as a school. And it kind of clicked in. I was like, wait, this is crazy. And so then my parents and I looked into it a bit more. And then it just like seemed awesome. Basically it was like more, because it's a smaller class size and they have this focus on like the academics as well as the athletics. It was really nice because I always wanted to do like some kind of combined major or something. Like if I wasn't going to go into dance professionally, I was going to go to university and combining a double major in like dance and math. That was my thing for a while before I fell into the path that I'm currently on, which I can talk about later. But so I kind of wanted to have both of those sides, and so I really liked that aspect of Edge, where they were basically had an emphasis on everything. So I was really attracted to that, and also just seems like a high value school, just even from the outside, you know, like the focus on character and everything. It's a very good environment. Like I just feel like everyone here, even all the students, especially in my year, everyone has this like drive, you know, that I don't think you necessarily get if you're in like a public school, just because everyone has like this focus and they're trying to, you know, juggle all these different parts of their lives and stuff. So I was attracted to all of that, I'd say.
Looking back at your time here, what did you think about your experience here? Obviously you were here for 5 years, so you must have liked it. What was it about the experience as a whole that you really enjoyed about being at Edge?
Yeah, okay, well, first of all, I loved it. It was like, yeah, because people, I'm such a nerd. I'm like, I loved high school.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, so for one, I really liked, so classroom, like academic side wise, I feel like there was a lot of opportunities to like push myself and excel. I had a lot of really good teachers that mentored me. Like my physics and math teacher, he was one of the reasons I ended up going towards like space stuff, because I'm in physics and astronomy now. And he was just like a person I could go to anytime. I would just hang out there like at lunch and chat about stuff. And so I just had a lot of teachers that like pushed me and were very kind and mentored me, and it's very homey vibe because it's a bit of a smaller school. I could just go hang out in teachers' rooms. I had a lot of close relationships with them. And then like the sport wise, I had amazing coaches. Like they were like a big brother or sister, like, and they pushed us like very hard. But they were really good at the balance of like encouragement and pushing us. And I don't know, I think I just had like, I liked all of the opportunities that I got when I came to Edge to kind of push myself in like different areas. Like I tried to get involved in as many different things as possible. So I was on leadership, like I was one of the leads in a leadership group for like a couple of years. And you have all these different goals, like honor roll and like all these different things, and they're always like recognizing people that have gone above and beyond and stuff. And I feel like they give credit where credit is due, which I also really like. But I think mostly it was just like the hominess of that I ended up kind of developing, because I was here, like I was at Edge for like so many hours of the day, especially in grade 12. I was doing they had like a pre-professional dance program, so on top of like your sport during the day, we'd stay for an extra 3 hours every day to dance in the evenings. And so I was at Edge from like 7:30, 8 in the morning until like almost 7 at night. And so I was basically just there all the time. That was like a second home. And so I'd bring like if we had breaks in between and everyone would just be eating dinner together, and we'd bring like blankets so we could like sit in the hall. And so I ended up feeling just very at home, which it was really nice, like to be able to come there every day.
I think it's cool that you talk about the community aspect. Are you still really close with people that you went to school with here? Are you guys still keep in touch?
I have like a few. Like our graduating class was like obviously really small. There was 42 of us, I think. And we just kind of dispersed a little bit like across the country and stuff like that. But there is definitely a few from my graduating class that I still keep in touch with, especially because like social media makes it really easy just to see what people are up to.
For sure.
Every once in a while we'll just like reach out, you know. But there's a couple that I see like every once in a while, which is really nice. And honestly, it's been so interesting to see where everyone's gone since high school, because some people's paths have completely changed from like what their original plans were. And yeah, it's just been really interesting.
Now, that's what's crazy in a place like this, right? I mean, obviously everybody's pretty serious about the sport and the, you know, what they're taking part in there. So you kind of figure everyone's going to go, you know, be a professional dancer or play pro hockey or whatever. And like you said, it's crazy. That's what's cool for Dana and I. We see, you know, we don't tell a lot of these stories, but a lot of our former students are going on and doing amazing things, you know, at post-secondary and with their careers. I think it was Dana was telling me, like you mentioned you're into, it was astronomy, correct? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that because I think that's really cool. But just sticking with Edge, was there someone here that influenced you the most during your time here? Who was it? How did they influence you?
Yeah. Okay, so I'd say probably the most is, so my physics and math teacher, David Moore. I don't even know if he's actually still a teacher.
Well, I know he's not here anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had him for like I think at least 3 years. Like he taught me a lot of courses among like physics and math. And the one thing I really liked about him was that, because I always asked so many questions, which I'm sure was like slightly annoying. Anyway, he would never turn it down. It was nice. Or if it was beyond the scope of what we were talking about at the moment, he would say like, come talk to me afterwards. And so we would just have like long chats about like physics and math stuff. And he made the classroom environment so fun. like he would try and make it engaging because a lot of people aren't as interested in like math or physics
Right.
or whatever, right? And so he would do things like, one time we came to class, and it's actually another favorite memory. So we came to class and he was standing outside and he was wearing like a policeman's hat and he had a fake mustache on, and there was like lights coming, like siren ambulance lights that are coming from the inside of the classroom, and he stood outside the door and he wouldn't let us in. He was like, it's not looking good in there, like there's been an accident, all this stuff. And we came in and there was these two like toy cars that he'd crumpled together in like, a car crash, and there was like skid marks from the car that were from black tape and this whole thing. And so we had to figure out if the car was speeding when it hit the other car, if he like needed to take the physics thing. But he did this whole
That's pretty cool
experience. Yeah, and so it was so awesome. So yeah, he was like one of my favorite teachers. And I remember in grade 11, there was this space school program down in Houston, Texas, and he like had found out about it for some reason, and he like told me that I should apply. Basically, he encouraged me to apply. I didn't end up getting in, but I got through the first 2 interview phases. Yeah. And so he was just always like very interested in his students and like trying to help us be successful and stuff, and just like so engaged. I don't know, it was great. So yeah, he was like very influential to me in like the path that I ended up going on.
And when teachers go the extra mile like that, you really do never forget it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for current students who are here now who want to make the most out of their experience at Edge, or even if it's general advice for upcoming grads, but any advice that you have to get the most out of the experience here?
I mean, like looking back, the one thing that I liked about my experience was like getting involved in as many different things as possible. I mean, obviously that's not for everybody, but like I found, like for me personally, I thrive like the more different things I'm doing. And so I found getting involved in as many different things as possible to be really enjoyable and to make my life feel a little bit more well-rounded. Because I think it can be easy for like the pressure to kind of get to you of trying to like excel academically, and you have your sport, which obviously people are quite dedicated to. So I think like trying to incorporate, you know, that like work-life balance a little bit more, like not being so hard on yourself, you know, and like because obviously it's like a high caliber institution, I would call Edge, but it's like it's still high school, right? It's like it's okay to enjoy yourself, right? Yeah. You know, and so like just not to put the pressure on yourself, because I think that if you're doing, me and my parents always have this thing where if you do what you love, you know, like and you can be good at, like I think if you do something you like, you'll be good at it, you know. And vice versa, like a lot of time you like what you're good at. And so as long as you're kind of following those passion points, I think that you'll end up being successful. So just not to be so hard on themselves, I think is one thing. And also just to like talk to as many different people as possible, especially when you're trying to figure out like where to go after high school, especially if you don't know like exactly where you want to go for like sport wise or something like that. Just like coaches and teachers are just this well of information, and a lot of people don't utilize them as a resource, like talking to them even just about like what their options are, like, you know, and also teachers have a really good idea. They've watched you for years, they have a good idea of your limits and like or what you're capable of, and so they're really good to go to for advice as well. Just be like, do you think I could actually do this? Like I did that with my dance coach a lot, of being like, do you think I could get into this school versus this like dance program, blah blah blah, and she'd be like, yes, don't apply for that one. Like that sort of thing. So yeah, so I think like, I guess umbrella terms, like utilize all the resources available to you, so getting involved and like reaching out to teachers and coaches for guidance, and then also just to like just enjoy yourself, enjoy the process. Yeah,
that's the thing, right? I mean, obviously, like you said, with this environment, kids can put a lot of pressure on themselves. So I think that's some really good advice that you do have. If a prospective family or a student was considering Edge as an option, what would you say to motivate them to come here?
I think, so if you're a prospective family coming in, if this child already has a sport picked out, this is the biggest thing, is that Edge like highlights that they prioritize all the different aspects of your life. You know, like the one nice thing that Edge does really well is they're very like accommodating. to your sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you
Right.
need to go away for a hockey tournament, you can like tell your teacher and they will go out of their way to like figure everything out, give you your work ahead of time, extend a deadline if you need. So number one, it's a very flexible experience if you have a kid that wants to be like very dedicated to the athletic side of things. And I also think it's just a very nurturing community, you know. I think that if you have a kid that comes here, I don't know, I just feel like it pushes you to like succeed in ways that you might not necessarily get at like other schools, in like a long-term way too, like sets you up for success after you graduate. So I just feel like if you're a family and you come here, you know your child will be very well taken care of.
Nice. That's good. How did Edge prepare you for life after high school, for post-secondary, for your career?
So for preparation wise, I think that, well, for one, they kind of instill like a drive, I think, within all the students, to try and kind of push yourself to be the best of like your capabilities. So I think that's like really helped me just in school, even in general, just like trying to see, like set realistic expectations, but like push myself as high as possible, like to kind of achieve like the best that I can, which has been really nice. I also think that they were pretty good about like setting academic standards, like, or like what everything they taught us. I felt like I was set up well just coming to university, like the skill set I had academics wise. And then also actually like one thing was like just the health side in general, because I didn't continue dancing after, like I took a gap year and I was like doing some dance and some stuff, but once I got into university I wasn't dancing like at that level anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they teach you a lot of skills about just like keeping yourself healthy, because I was so used to like doing a sport and stuff all the time, and I did a lot of like health classes in sports psychology and like all these other things as well. And so I really have been able to like kind of maintain just like a balanced, healthy lifestyle where I've tried to incorporate, you know, sport and movement in everything that I'm doing. So that's been very helpful. They just kind of like set you up for the type of lifestyle that I want, where you're like very focused on like health and also like the character side of Edge, just like being a good person or like getting involved or, you know, that pursuit of excellence. So I think it set me up like quite well in that respect. I think also just like getting involved in a lot of things, like especially being on leadership, like on the leadership group, I actually found quite influential just coming into, I go to UBC now. And so like those sorts of things set me up well for the type of opportunities I've done now. Cause like at Edge in leadership, we were doing a lot of like public speaking, like every week at town hall, we were giving like announcements or like speaking at some different of like the ceremonies and stuff like that. And so now at UBC, I was like a residence advisor in my second year. And now I'm a student ambassador. So I give like campus tours and stuff like that. And so like those sorts of just like initiative opportunities, I guess. Like the leadership stuff actually set me up quite well for that sort of thing, because I had a decent amount of practice like talking to large groups and stuff as well. So that's like a little more particular, I guess, to like my route. Other people might find like different things obviously through their different involvements, but yeah.
That's great. I think it's interesting you mentioned the character side of things, and for our school, it can be hard to tell people, you know, obviously that's one of our three spheres. You know, how would you say in terms of your character development, you know, just you as an individual, you know, when you left Edge, like would you say that Edge did help you with that aspect of our three sphere model?
Yeah, I think it did for sure. I think mostly like both just in like the encouragement of like staff, like I think of every time they gave like speeches and stuff at like the different town halls, like just the type of values they're trying to instill in all of the students. I also think just the environment of Edge itself is very good for character, because like they hold us to a higher value standard. So things like you don't see like bullying really, or like just like stuff like that you would see in a normal school where people don't really get into trouble, I guess. I'm not sure if like that's the right way to put it, but just I think that, you know, everyone seems to be a bit more like on the right track, I guess. Like you're surrounded by people that are all really good people, especially just in my experience anyway. And so like that was really nice just to like develop that core sense of value systems. And I also think that like through also like I'm just thinking of all the like team activities and stuff too. Like we have like the 4 mountain teams and like all that stuff. You get like this really good sense of like teamwork, like collaboration and like leadership and all those sorts of things, and camaraderie, which I also really liked. Like throughout my experience, I feel like that instilled a very like healthy sense of like competition, but also like bonding with other people, right, and like that sort of thing. So that sort of stuff I think helped character-wise, because you know, like we'd go through those sorts of team sports events, and there's always like a reflection period where the principal or whoever would be talking about like that side of like the character side of all the different events that we do, or however you're going through life. And so I think they encouraged a lot of like self-reflection, I guess, and also just like holding yourself to like that standard, like that ability to be like self-correcting, I guess, which was also very helpful going forward.
Which mountain team were you on?
I was on Everest.
Oh, Everest. Oh, Timo. Sorry. Then we got to end this conversation.
What's the word? Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about life after Edge. You mentioned you're going to UBC. You know, what are you doing in terms of school? I know you also mentioned you're working from home right now. So just curious to get to know you a little bit better in terms of that sense.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I applied to UBC in grade 12, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go to school right away or if I wanted to take like a break, because I was modeling at the same time and like in high school, and also dance, and like so I wasn't really sure. And so I ended up getting into like the West Virginia ballet company.
Wow.
No, that's wrong. Pennsylvania. I'm like, that was a long time ago. Yeah. This Pennsylvania ballet company for like this year-long program. And I ended up actually not taking it because I decided I wanted to just pursue academia, and just like financially it didn't really make sense because I'd have to like move down to Pennsylvania as like a 17-year-old and like pay living wage and all this stuff, and like I wouldn't be pursuing it after that 1 year to try and get into the company. So I ended up just taking that gap year, and I deferred my acceptance to UBC a year, which is awesome because it's all set up when you get there. And I traveled that year, so I went to like Cambodia and Vietnam and backpacked through Southeast Asia. And so then I went to UBC in the fall of, I guess it's 2017. So it's a combined honors in physics and astronomy. Bachelor of Science is my degree. So right now I'm in my 4th year of 5. It'll be like 5 years total. Because right now it's called like the science co-op program. So you get work experience during your degree. It's kind of like split up into different chunks. So I did like one internship after my 2nd year, and then now I'm working for 16 months straight. And then I go back for my last year in September. So then in September, I'll go back for like my final year, and that'll be like grad school application and that sort of stuff. And I have to write like an honors thesis. So that'll be a lot next year. It'll be fun. Yeah, but it's been awesome. It's been really good. I like have tried to get involved in lots of different student life things. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I was like residence advisor, and now I'm a student ambassador, and just like part of different clubs and stuff as well. So it's been really awesome. I love it. I'm usually living out in Vancouver during the school year, but now just because I'm working remotely, I'm back in Calgary. So which is like good. I mean, like no living expenses, which is nice, all that stuff. So I definitely miss Vancouver for sure though. It's such a great city. Yeah, so for work-wise though, so basically it's mostly been astronomy focused, doing like a variety of different things. So I did a lot of work on like a certain type of star called a white dwarf star. So basically my first internship, I had just left 2nd year. So I didn't have a ton of applicable skills yet because I was only halfway through my degree. And so the internship I got, it was actually really interesting because it was a professor basically hires 1 or 2 students from his class every year. So I approached him and like kind of asked him if he would hire me, and he ended up hiring me for the summer, and that was my first co-op work term. And that was great because it actually ended up being this huge evolving project that is still kind of going in the background with like a whole team, and we've put out 2 papers now, like 2 research papers and all this stuff. So it's been really great, and that was that was through UBC. And then like last summer I worked through, it's called the Canadian Institute for Theoretical Astrophysics, which is connected to University of Toronto. So I was doing a bunch of work there on like binary star systems and their gravitational wave signals. And so I'm writing a paper on that right now, which is I'm really excited about because I get to be the first author on a research paper, which is like
wow,
so exciting. It'll be really helpful, I think, when I apply to grad school in the fall to have like be a first author on that. And then in the fall I did more like gravitational wave research with a company called LIGO, which is this international collaboration that does gravitational wave detection. So anytime you've ever seen the news, like they found a black hole like merging with another black hole, that's them. So I got to work with them, which was really cool. And then right now, I'm kind of in this weird like state of limbo this term. So I'm doing like a whole bunch of different like part-time things that I just was like really interested in. And so it doesn't actually technically count as like a co-op term right now because I already have enough co-op terms to get my co-op certification. And so I just had all these things I really wanted to do. And so I basically just went and did them on my own. And so I'm not like registering any courses right now. So I'm like writing this paper. And then I'm doing a bunch of space policy work through this institute. It's called the Outer Space Institute. And we're looking at like re-entering man-made orbital debris that comes back into the atmosphere, for example, because we have, I'm not sure if you've seen on the news, Starlink. It's Elon Musk's big mega constellation of satellites. Yeah, so basically we're looking at the number one, the environmental impacts of that, as well as just policy regulation. There's a lot of issues with it, which I could like rant about, but that's like we've been looking at, which has been really interesting. And then in the summer I'm working through this institute out of Montreal, but I'll still be working remotely, but I'm doing some exoplanet research there. And I'm going to go back in September. So it's been really nice. Like you can combine like work terms as much as you want. Like you could do 12 months of like one job, for example, or like some people extend the amount of co-op like time that they do if they really like a job. But I've been trying to sample as many different types of astronomy and physics stuff as I can before I apply to grad school, just to see which path I want to kind of keep going down. So I've done like just these 4-month chunks basically. So I've done like five different chunks by the time I go back.
Wow, you've been busy. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So this last year with the pandemic, I feel like you haven't been bored at all.
No, literally not at all. Yeah, it's actually worked out like quite well because like the jobs have been really great. I was supposed to actually go, like the one thing that was sad, I was supposed to go to Germany.
Oh geez.
Remember, for 8 months for an internship, and that got canceled. And then I applied again to like go this summer, but then like that's going to be online, so like that didn't work out. Anyway, so that was slightly disappointing. But it ended up, like, the job I did get to do actually was amazing. Like I really, really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't have gotten to do that if I had been in Germany. So I guess, you know, maybe it was meant to be. You never know.
Worked out.
Yeah, and then the campus tours that I normally do all got moved to being virtual. Like they put together this whole virtual experience, and so we've been able to keep giving tours. So I do that like outside my work hours as well. So it's been like really nice just to keep busy during the pandemic. It's been good. Absolutely.
No, it's good to be busy right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So what's the goal? What do you know like kind of what you want to do after grad school? Like do you kind of have a long-term vision of where you see yourself with your career?
I do, yeah. So when I came to university, my whole plan was I was going to be an astronaut. That was the goal originally. But over the years, I'm like, okay, maybe that needs to be like a plan B. First of all, I have really bad vision. I don't even think I'd make it through the health exam. So I was like, if they have a call for astronauts, I'll apply. So that's like my background plan. But my main kind of trajectory right now is more staying within academia and research. So I'm gonna hopefully go to like grad school, either do a master's and then a PhD, or some schools kind of offer like a combined program where you just kind of jump right to PhD, like plus some kind of higher level courses. So I'll do one of those two. And then after that, usually if you want to stay in like the academia research stream, you go and do a bunch of postdoctoral studies. So those are 1 to 3 year contracts at different like schools and institutes, basically just like a research contract where you do some stuff. And so I'm gonna hopefully do those, maybe like 2 to 4 postdocs like back to back. And it's really nice because that gives you this really good opportunity to travel as well, because you can go do postdocs like over in Europe or down in the States or wherever. So that's, you can kind of see the world before you settle in anywhere, which is really nice. And then I'll probably apply to be like an assistant professor and go towards like a professor route is kind of the goal at the moment. although I have to say I don't know exactly the specific topic that I'd like to narrow down on, because I love the physics and astronomy side, but I've also been very passionate about environmental science and climate change research and things like that as well. And so I've been kind of trying to figure out how to combine all of those into one path. I know there's some institutes like MIT and Caltech and stuff, which are obviously very like high caliber schools. So I'd be like setting my sights quite high, but they collaborate in this institute called Clima, which does like high level computer modeling of climate, like different climate modeling things. So people from all different backgrounds, like mathematics and computer science and physics, kind of come together to make the most detailed high performance climate modeling. So I thought something like that would be really interesting to kind of start to take part in, because it's sort of academic as well as like applies to the real world. Yeah, but I've also really been liking the space policy work that I'm doing right now. So there is also a small part of me that is thinking, do I need to go become a lawyer now so I can get into policy work? But that's like a later issue I'll worry about.
That's good though. You got lots of options. So
yeah,
you'll figure it out.
That's been one of my dilemmas for like my whole life, is that I really like keeping my options open.
For sure.
It's like I'm gonna have to choose at some point, like one path.
But you never have to do one thing forever. So
exactly.
Maybe you'll change your mind and do something completely different.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you do for fun? Any interesting hobbies? I know you had said that you didn't kind of carry on with the dance path, but I'm sure you do lots of other fun stuff. Any other things you got going on?
Yeah, so like dance is definitely still like a part of my life. I really miss doing it like full time, like all the time. So I'll go and do drop-in courses, or drop-in classes, I should say. Right now, with the pandemic, it's a little bit trickier. They have low intensity classes where you wear a mask at the studio that I normally go to. So I do that occasionally for sure, because it's definitely still, like a big part of just my identity, I think. I don't think I'll ever stop completely. But my main activity thing that I do outside of work is rock climbing, actually. So I got really into rock climbing. I'm also I've just gone back into running, because I took a year off after an injury. So I kind of have this, my little training regimen of climbing and running that I really enjoy. Those are definitely just like hobbies, but that's been really fun to get into. I also really like photography. So I have like a photography Instagram account sort of thing that I've been trying to build up over the past few years. My dad was a photographer when he was younger, and like a professional photographer when he was in his 20s and stuff. And so it's nice having a mentor to teach me the ropes and stuff. Definitely still very amateur level, but I'm trying to kind of build somewhat of a portfolio of some sort. I get my friends to model for me, or I'll do nature things, and just have been kind of submitting photos to online fun student run magazines and stuff like that, which I've really been liking. So those are kind of my main hobbies that I've been taking part in, especially recently.
Very cool. Do you want to shout out your Instagram account where you're posting those photos?
Yeah. Okay, my Instagram it's called Sarpicto. So it's SARPICTO.
All right. Well, you're gonna have a bunch of followers after this video gets released. Yeah. So just be ready to start posting some more of your work.
Nice.
It was really, really great chatting, and hopefully best of luck with everything you got going on. There's no shortage in terms of what you have going on. So we're excited to see what you do next.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for meeting with me. It was great. It was great to chat about it, and it was nice to reminisce about Edge days, to be honest. It's good.
You're welcome to do that, and you're welcome back anytime. I mean, obviously right now it's with COVID, we're not exactly letting many people back into the school other than our students, but once this all passes over, make sure you stop by and visit some of those teachers that are still here.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do. Awesome.
Thanks, Sarah. Take care.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.